If you could remove a law, which one would get the boot?
The law in some US states that prevent you from using video evidence in sort of the domestic abuse happening in your home because the abuser didn't consent to being recorded. I suppose you have to nicely ask your abuser if you can record them physically or verbally abuse you first.
Digital Security Act, 2018. It's a law by the government of Bangladesh, which can let anyone file a case against you if you speak against the government online. There are multiple cases where someone criticized the government, and they have been put in prison because of this law. It basically hurts the freedom of speech of Bangladeshi citizens. Even though there have been voices raised to demolish this law, the autocratic government doesn't care at all. The ones that allowed politicians to accept funds from corporations. Murphy's Law. Any law about immunity for politicians. Citizens United. The loopholes permitting child marriage, child sex trafficking, and protecting pedophiles. The one that protects individual politicians against the effects of what they did in office. Patriot Act. Edit. And whatever laws that allow for government surveillance besides Patriot Act. My dank memes on Reddit and search history is none of the business of the FBI, who think using the word "based" is grounds for a terrorist investigation. All the anti-terrorist laws that took our privacies without anyone giving shit, where the government can take your stuff. The one where you're not allowed to defend yourself if someone breaks into your home with the intent of stealing from you. In my country, every copyright extension from the original, around 20 years. I would say the meaningless illegality of stuff like nunchucks, Bali songs, etc. Why can I buy a military knife made for killing people, but I can't buy a knife which uses springs to open? Psilocybin, LSD, and marijuana being considered Schedule I drugs, at least in the US. Wild to me that drugs like Xanax, Oxy, some other strong prescription drugs, cocaine, and fucking meth are all considered less dangerous than drugs that have a much lower death toll and have been shown to be more beneficial in various different treatments and trials. The one that allows politicians to raise their own salary as long as at least 51% of them vote in favor. A few years ago they increased minimum wage by 3.5%, then proceeded to increase their own salary by 40% and add 2 new benefits. Moore's Law. Let my transistors become small enough to be a black hole. Jude Law of Physics. Shit bout to be asterisk wild asterisk. I wouldn't remove one, I would restore one. I would restore the Information Acts, which would make it obligatory for media outlets to give equal airtime to both sides of the political spectrum and illegal to disseminate false information. The Schedule I Act. Let people trip balls face with tears of joy. Australia's Biosecurity Act. Legal government hacking, or more, they can order an employee to hand over data, and bind them to absolute security on punishment of years in prison. Turn anyone into a spy. And despite it being claimed for safety of the children when they wrote it, the first people they used it against were journalists investigating war crimes. The one with the light bulbs. Fuck you, gimme light bulbs that never go out. Any law that makes filming the police illegal. Lower the drinking age in the US to 18. If you are old enough to serve, you are old enough to buy beer. Laws against consensual sex work can go. There is absolutely no reason for us to not legalize consensual prostitution. People are going to do it anyway, and with it being legal we can even make it safer in a number of ways. The requirement of a fucking TV license. IT is a TV. Not a bomb. Not a law, but I would remove the National Firearms Act. In the US BTW, lifetime appointments for SCOTUS. I live in Sweden, so there's a lot. Meaningless illegality of weapons, like spring-assisted knives. No one is gonna use nunchucks to commit a crime. Laws preventing lethal force in self-defense. The law which halves the sentence of your crime if you're 21 greater than, no matter the crime. All laws which basically places the fucking criminal in a better spot than the victim. You killed an armed person who broke into your house? You're going to jail for 2 years. List goes on. The jurisdiction system here is fucked. Civil asset forfeiture, the one where you can't handle salmon suspiciously. I just wanna play in my fucking fish Jenga. Celebrities can't create charities to write off in their taxes. The one creating the ATF, the NFA, Patriot Act. Biggest and most disgusting breaches of privacy and freedom of speech since the Alien and Sedition Acts. National Firearms Act of 1934, the NFA. It's just a fuck you for being poor. Only rich people have these rights. It doesn't ban anything. Just slaps a tax on certain items. You can't take pharmaceutical companies to court over side effects from prescribed medicines, even if they knowingly put them out with terrible side effects. https://www.halt.org/pharmaceutical-lawsuit-win-can-u-sue-for-drug-injuries/laws against modifying cars that have nothing to do with safety. All the local ones that make being nice to the homeless criminal. Those just suck. Not being able to sleep on the side of the road in your car if you're too drunk to drive. Civil forfeitures would go through a trial process. Cops abuse civil forfeiture. My in-laws. Women in Australia being prohibited from publicly speaking out about rape that has happened to them. Being prohibited from recording people in conversation without them knowing. People should own their words regardless. Also, people will obviously moderate their behavior as soon as they know they're being recorded, yet will revert back to threatening behavior when they feel they can safely get away with it. Too many laws punish victims and instead protect perpetrators of criminal behavior. NFA. Suppressors for all. Reinstate the legalization of abortion and reproductive care for women. The second law of thermodynamics. Lobbying being legal. A man can't get a DNA test for a child without the mother's consent, but still has to pay child support without any evidence that the child is actually his. Not being allowed to rollerblade inside the grocery store. There is this stupid law in Ontario where, if someone is breaking into your home intending on hurting your family, if you do anything to hurt them while getting them out of your house, they can charge you. I think that if someone hurts you and you assault them back and are better at it and it is in an act of self-defense, you should not be able to be charged for it. For example, if someone is being SA'd and they fight the perp and end up seriously injuring the perp, there have been cases where the victim of the SA crime gets charged and stuff. I think that is so wrong. Congressmen not having term limits. Legalize weed in the UK. Maple leaf. All states should have a castle doctrine, where you're legally allowed to shoot someone attempting to break into your home. However, the states that allow it far too broadly, where the person sometimes just has to be on your property when they clearly didn't mean to be, like the recent Instacart delivery driver who was shot because they were delivering to the wrong house. That needs to be a little stricter to prevent unnecessary deaths. The NFA. My country's conscription laws. Before 2022, they were pain in the ass. Now they are outright death. If you are born with a dick, cannabis would be 100% legal. I don't even partake very often, but the business opportunities would be insane. It's not even in my country. But the ban on abortions. Jaywalking laws. They only exist due to lobbying from car companies. Thankfully, I live in the UK where no such law exists, but jaywalking laws do exist in other countries. NFA Act. The NFA is now gone. Enjoy your legally purchasable machine guns, ya filthy animals.